Today, let's talk about the Second Amendment. Now, some time ago on a news broadcast, these two gentlemen were speaking, and they were talking about the AR-15, and one said to the other, said, "You don't need an AR-15 for hunting." Well, that very well may be true. But when we're talking about the Second Amendment, we're not talking about hunting. We're talking about war. We're talking about conflict. Nothing could be further from hunting. About a year ago, I penned a little paper in a Facebook discussion, which I'm going to recycle now, entitled, "The Second Amendment does not grant the right to bear arms. It confirms the people already have that right." And that's important to remember. So I'm going to read some of this. The Second Amendment says, let's first establish what it says, "A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." Now, this amendment, I believe, is two parts in a single sentence. We've got part one, part two. Now, part one establishes the why, the WHY. The why. It says that a well-ordered militia being necessary to the security of a free state. Now, that's the why. Now, we can discuss what is meant by well-regulated. But in any event, it does not diminish or take away from the people the right to keep and bear arms. Now, and we'll see that in part two. Now, part two. Part two establishes, rather, the who and what, which is the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The who is the people, and the what is the right of the people to keep and bear arms. Now, the Second Amendment does not grant that right. That's very important. The Second Amendment does not grant that right. It confirms that the right already belongs to the people. The Second Amendment sets forth that this right to keep and bear arms, which is already invested in the people, shall not be infringed. Very important. It does not grant a right. It gives you a why that it's important for the people to keep and bear arms. Then it says that this right shall not be infringed. Very important. Now, a summation. The Second Amendment writers show clearly their intent when they phrased a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. It is to ensure that every American will be able to join the fight in a moment's notice. To imply that our National Guard is the militia equivalent today is to only prove how complacent the citizenry has become in believing that we can never be invaded again by a foreign power. The National Guard is a finite fighting force, but the whole of the American citizens coming together would be tremendous. The militia. The militia of the Revolution was associated with the state, and even in the simplest form, each state today should maintain in each county a means of calling up those willing to join forces together as a militia, and therefore be able to focus their efforts and cause them to become a well-regulated and ordered. I think that would establish a well-regulated and ordered militia. It's not someone who meets all the time, but you are prepared to fight. You are prepared to join forces, just like they did in the Revolution. The Second Amendment was never established to grant a right, insomuch as the word grant is never used. The Second Amendment is to ensure that the previously existing right for the people to keep and bear arms shall not be taken away. It's not very complicated. It's very simple, not very complicated. You already have the right. Now, what do you think about that?